Avid brakes suck. There's not really much else to it. I just really dislike this brand and some things that they did with it. Now, there's no dishonor in if you own Avid brakes and have them on your bicycle. It's just that you may face some major problems down the line, leading you to go for Shimano or SRAM if you still like SRAM after Avid. Because if you didn't know, Avid is typically seen as the shadow behind SRAM. I believe SRAM acquired them or something, and they really just do not care about them. Now, the older Avid brakes around the 2000s to 2010 range is pretty good because SRAM acquired them around 2004, so they still had some pretty good engineers on their side. Back in the 90s and 2000s, Avid was somewhat of a powerhouse competing with SRAM and Shimano, and that's a reason as to why SRAM later acquired them in 2004. But ever since that, I believe it went downhill. This acquisition of Avid by SRAM was definitely a play to get them out of the marketplace because I think they felt a bit threatened by them. The Avid cantilever brakes are really good, and especially the older models, I enjoy working on them because they last. They were built to last and made by passionate engineers of the Avid brand. However, after the 2010s, Avid really went awry. If you're a really big powerhouse brand like SRAM, you would most likely put most of your money into your own brand, building your own brand, and not someone else's brand. You are essentially nowadays seen as the only two option there is to bicycle brakes, so I understand why you'd put all your resources into the SRAM brand. It always seems like Avid has been kind of a back burner for SRAM, and they never really cared about them. But let's take this back to the reason why I'm saying all of this. I've been a bike mechanic for the past 4 to 5 years, and most of the time that I have to replace brakes is because they're Avid brakes. And by this, I mean they're the brand Avid. And I'm talking in reference to the hydraulic brakes as you see me here, taking them off the bike because, well, let me tell you the story. I remember one of the most pain in the ass brake jobs I have ever had was on Avid brakes. This was so odd. It came in for a casual brake bleed. I thought it would be pretty straightforward. It just felt like there was no fluid in the system. So I went to take it for a bleed. Come to find out, after taking apart the master cylinder, there was an unbelievable amount of stuff in there. I could not believe how much mold was inside of these brake calipers. And yes, this could be attributed to a neglect of bike service, but even then, I have seen Shimanos and SRAMs come into the shop 10 years plus not serviced, and they still look brand new inside of the caliper. And the master cylinder, other than, you know, a few contaminants and just black hydraulic fluid, but there was like not much dirt inside of there. It wasn't full-on clumps of moldy dirt inside of the master cylinder, which is what I faced with these Avid brakes. It was so bad that there was so much back pressure caused by these contaminants that you could not push brake fluid through the system, but I kind of rednecked it and got it along working. The actuation points were still kind of off, but it worked, except it really disappointed me on how much time I spent on it. The actuation was just extremely off, and it didn't really feel like a good snappy brake like you would feel on a Shimano MT200, which is a pretty popular entry-level brake. I don't know why, but the seals on these brakes just aren't the best, and even if you do keep up with the maintenance of these brakes, they are kind of iffy. They get contaminated really easily, and you have to bleed them a little bit more than Shimano and SRAM. This may be due to the fact that SRAM just kind of allocates the last of its resources to help out Avid and release new products, and this could even be reflected just by looking up new Avid hydraulic brakes. The fact of the matter is, when you go to the SRAM website, the only things they have on there is about 10-year-old model of cable pull brakes that they're still selling from day-to-day uses. I think SRAM is just making Avid seem like a old-timer brand and not really putting much thought into it. But these brakes that I'm taking off and replacing with some pretty nice Shimano MT200s have a little bit of the same story as the one I explained earlier. Again, these brakes just felt like they needed a typical bleed. You pulled the lever, they felt very squishy and felt like they had a lot of air in them. I went to go bleed it with some DOT 5.1 fluid, you know, just gotta do the best of the best for my customers. And then hydraulic fluid just started spewing out the other side of the master cylinder. This I have never seen before with any SRAMs or Shimanos on earth, or at least the SRAMs and Shimanos that come through my shop. This was very odd, and I knew as soon as I saw the Avid branding, I was gonna be in for a ride if I actually tried to fix it, and it wasn't gonna be a guaranteed fix. So I just recommended to the customer, hey, might as well get these Shimano MT200s. They're completely bulletproof. And then about $90 later, we just went with that. It would have costed probably the exact same to redneck a fix on these Avid brakes, but these Shimano MT200s are just as capable, if not more capable, than these older Avid brakes. And all that is to say, I'm just disappointed how SRAM treated Avid these past couple of years. They didn't try to release any type of brake models from this brand, nor even try to keep up to date with the hydraulic brakes coming out of this brand. Again, all they sell on their website for now is just some cable pull generic Avid brakes for cheap bikes, to be honest. I guess that's what you get when you're in a capitalist society. You're just gonna buy out the competition, and if you have the money, freaking destroy them because, hey, you see them as a threat, might as well get your brand above them. I do want to add one thing though. When these things are working properly, they're pretty good. They keep up with these Shimano MT200s, and I'd say they're pretty good for beginner brakes. Can't really complain. But if you just neglect it, even just a tiny bit, I guess you're out of luck. However, let me know down below. What do you guys think of Avid brakes? Do you run them on your bike? And if you do you think you would switch them? Or is there any problems with them? But yeah, thank you guys for watching to the end of the video. If you liked it, please like and subscribe. I do post YouTube shorts daily, and have a great rest of your day.